everybody, this is Troy from Michigan Prospectors. I have a question for you all today. I was polishing up, actually this one I cut and I was sanding and polishing it and I was going to sell it on eBay, on my my eBay store, Michigan Rocks and Woods. Michigan Rocks and Wood, I'll put the link down below. And I had started to clear coat it and I noticed something unique about it. So I just put it aside and never got back to it. And then this one I was polishing yesterday, I think. Pretty little rock. I just thought it would be nice to open that up. I mean, look, that's beautiful. Let me get my camera in the light better. I just find it really pretty. I hope the colors show right, because what I'm about to show you is, I have a question. You know, I just thought it was pretty. It's got some nice little pretty crystals glistening in the sun. I can't see my camera. That's a saw mark. The black streak, but I just thought it was pretty. Bit of quartz vein. And then I discovered this right here. And I'm going to try showing you in different lights, and I might put some photos in there. But I think that what I have here is gold. There's some right here. There's some up in here. It could be a combination. It could be a gold ore. I think it's too bright in here. And it's all up in here. Let me change the light. But first I'll show you another. I was polishing when I decided to stop, and I think I might not want to sell it on eBay. All that shiny is something I believe is gold. All that shines in there is yellow. I'm going to try to get better light on this. A little bit less bright light. Maybe I can see it better here. That looks like gold to me. But before I do anything with it, I want to be absolutely certain I don't have a non-destructive way of testing it. So, I mean, it definitely has a very even shine. Okay. There are some pyrites in there. We looked at this with a magnifying glass. There are some pyrites, but here's a little tiny shiny part right there, and right on the end there's a shiny part. I don't know if I can zoom in on that for you, how far I can zoom. Whoops, okay, there's the limit. I do have some microscope work, some photos that I've done. I'm dirty because I've been cutting rocks. But see that shiny piece in there? The rest is sulfides, definitely. It's pyrite or something. But see that piece there, and then this piece on the end right there. And that comes up into the front face of that. And see how that looks like gold to me. See how even that glistens, how evenly that glistens? Okay? And then there's some little pieces up in here. Oh, where's my thumb? Here's another one, see right there? And there's some little bits and pieces, and some really tiny ones too. So there's that one. And then here's one. If I can get that to show up. It's very hard to get this on the camera. Let me back up. It is a very even yellow glow. I don't want to jump up and down with excitement. This is just a rock I was going to cut and polish. Had it in my collection for a year or two now. All that's shiny, everything, see all that glows is gold colored, and I think it's gold. All that shiny, all that where the light is reflecting, that's all yellow. And I can show you some close-ups in the magnifying glass to show that it is that fine in there, that yellow. It is that incredibly thorough and fine in there. And see how close we can get in here just before it zooms out of focus. You can see now how thorough it is in there, how thick and dense it is in there, whatever it is. All of that, see? All of that, and see how uniformly shiny that is. See that? It doesn't have facets like pyrite should have. It could be some silver content in there. This is hard rock, so, and I know the general area where this is from that should could have gold in it, so it's very possible, very, very possible. Let me get you some magnified images of that, okay? Looking around the sides, it's very worn and everything is very iron rusty, so to say. And I also did a crush test. I took a piece of this same rock, and I'll show you that and the results of that in a minute. But that is a very uniform yellow. See that? It's a very uniform, consistent yellow. So I'm 95% certain it's gold, but you know, fool's gold is called that for a good reason. So let's go to the microscope. Now here's what makes me think, really think that this is what it is, because this is, I don't know what magnification this is, but here we have a microscope, and it's a very consistent glow, very consistent metallic luster. See that over there? It's a very yellow, very gold metallic luster. So I'm really, and also see the little specks in there. I don't know if I can focus. There's little tiny specks in there. There's one down there. There's some silver. Oh no, that is gold. I saw some silver somewhere in here before. Look at the pattern of that. Look at the luster. Look at the shine and the very consistent metallic appearance of it. Now granted, I was polishing this, and when I stopped I did not get to the super fine polish, so it was, I don't know, 3000 grit. You can still see the lines on the rock, so you can tell I didn't get really fine on that. When I stopped, I noticed, hey, there's something going on in here. See? And then there's some little bits and pieces up in here. See that? Pyrite has a very distinct crystalline structure and has facets to it, and that is not reacting like that. So, and you can see the definite quartz, you know, how the mineralization in quartz, and there's a couple speckles right there. You got the iron, there's some speckles up in here, there's some in here, some over here. I mean, I think I got gold, I really do. But honestly, I want to confirm with you guys. I hope Mount Baker Mining and Metals will see this, because he would probably look at it at a glance and say, hey, that's a pyrite, you dummy, or chalcopyrite, or that's gold. It might be telluride. But look at that. That looks like gold to me. I mean, absolutely. The luster, the consistency of it, as I move it around, the yellow stays very consistent. There's what I think might be some silver over here. Yeah, see that? There is some silver in here too. So, to me, I think I found gold. Okay? But I just want to confirm. Tell me what you guys think. I got another one. I'll bring the other one in here and pull it out. Here's the other one. Now, let me try to get that focused. This one is a little bit tougher to, it's really hard for me because they're so tiny. But look at that when I move this. Look at that. That does not appear to have facets like pyrite or chalcopyrite. Let me try to tip this up and then change focus a little, as it gets out of focus a little there. Alright, but that looks like gold. I mean, look at that luster. Look at that shine. Look at that luster. Now, I know you can polish pyrites, and I was cutting and polishing. Alright? So I'm going to show you a raw rock as well, the other piece of this rock. But that looks like, absolutely looks like gold to me. I am 95, 99% sure, based on my own observations. But I really want to hear from you guys. And you can see how much is in there, really. When I turn this, when I rotate this, you can see how much metal is in there, okay? Really looks beautiful on the camera. All right, let me switch. Okay, here's a piece I did not polish. You can see the cutting marks, okay? It's really hard to get a good angle and view on this. It's more of a gray color. It looks yellower on the camera. It's really hard to focus on this and get this to show up, in part because I'm holding this specimen and the other one I can lay flat. So let me try to get this zoomed here and focused. Okay. Now, the yellow is not showing because I don't have as much ambient light. I'm holding this right up to the lens, and if I pull it away, I lose focus. Okay, so there's a problem. It's not as easy to look at this piece. I've considered polishing it just to see, but you can see the grinding lines cut through. It's not as bright. It's more of a brassy color. I don't know if, like I said, that's because I'm holding this straight up to the lens, but you can see the grinding lines on here from the diamond wheel that I used, but it doesn't look like pyrite to me. I don't see any facets glittering. I don't see any changing of facets or glittering. I see a metallic look. It's just more brassy. There's a little bit of a glint right there, but I've noticed that at certain angles the other specimens sort of do that, depending on if there's a flat spot. Now, I wasn't sure, so I took and I ground this off. There's the butt end that I ground. Very, very, very coarse, okay? And, I mean, this was 80 grit. I ground this off at 80 grit, okay? And then I pulverized it, and then I put it in a pan. Here, look at that. Can I get that focused any better? Again, this is under LED light, so the colors are off. There's no ambient light. I've got this pushed right up to the lens. But I'm not seeing... No, there's... I can't tell if it's just the way it's in focus. There's something there moving in and out of light, but I'm not seeing facets. I'm seeing a metallic lump. Now, I could be wrong. This is a hard one for me, guys. This is a really hard one, okay? Now, I did grind off. This is what's exposed from what I ground. Now, let me show you what was in the pan. This is going to be awkward because I'm freehanding it. And so forgive the shakiness, but that looks like a piece of wire. Oh, it's so awkward to hold this in place and show it with my finger. That looks like a piece of wire, which would happen if you hit it with a grinder. Forgive the shakiness. All right, right there. Okay. And that looks like a piece of wire of gold that would come off typically. You'd expect. Here's a mess of stuff. I had a big piece in here. Now I've got to find it. And there was a nice chunk of wire. Well, that looks like a piece of wire right there. If you hit with a grinder, what you would expect to see. There's a chunk of wire. It might be the one I just saw. Which is what you would think should see if you hit it with a grinder. Again, forgive the shakiness. I just found a pretty piece. Now, there's also, I think, silver in here. Oh, I hate the shakiness. This is impossible because I'm freehanding over a gold pan. See, that could be silver. I'm not quite sure. Well, just look at that. That doesn't look like any chunk of pyrite that I've ever seen. That looks like a beautiful chunk of gold that just been worked through the wringer. That looks like a piece of chunky gold right there. I mean, that's just... Now, when I look in the pan here, it all looks like reddish, so it could be iron stained. It could be some, there's also some garnet in here crushed up, but that looked like a chunky piece of gold right there. Here's another. That's the one. I can see it with my eyes. Okay. It's so awkward, though, to locate things. Here's something in here. I'm going to have to brush off the lens because I'm going straight down. Here, that looks like a piece of silver. Right there. That looks like a piece of silver to me. Doesn't it look like silver to you? That's definitely not pyrite that I've ever seen. That looks just like a chunk of silver right there. Let me find that one I was looking for. Well, I didn't find that, but I found something that looks very, looks like it to me. Here looks like a chunk of silver. There's a piece of wire gold. Here's a chunk of wire. Here's some wiry gold. That's what you expect if you grind gold. There's some, looks like silver. There's some chunks of silver. Something else in there. Could even be lead, who knows. But that just looks, let me see if I can bring that one into focus on the bottom left corner. No, I can't get that any better than that. I'm making a mess of this because I'm getting that all on the lens of this magnifier. But there's a piece of wire. There's some wire looped. That just absolutely makes me think that that's what this is right there. That's wire gold. So, tell me what you think, guys. I don't even know what that is. That could be, I don't know. That's a brassy colored. That's more copper colored. Maybe there's copper. Who knows? There's a lot of colored stuff in here, but I can't find what I was looking for. That, look at that. That looks like a chunk of silver right there. Clear as anything. That looks like a chunk of silver. So I hope this is showing up well and clear on the camera. I'm trying to get this in here for you. Look at that piece. He's got a little tail. See, some of them might be stained a little red, but pyrite isn't going to do that. If that's pyrite, pyrite's not going to do that. There's a lot of silver, it looks like, in here, too. I'm still looking for that big piece. I'm doing it in dark in here. I don't have the overheads on. I'll be back. There's one I can see with the naked eye. So I zoomed in on it. There's a piece of silver, I think, up there. See, there's a piece of wire. So I think that that's what I got. Like I said, I want to confirm. I'd love to hear from Mount Baker if he sees this. Jason, if anybody could has a line to him, could shake him up, see if he could look at this. I think it's gold. Now what I did, I ran this on a lapidary wheel at 80 grit and contained the water runoff, and then I panned it, and then I dried that. There's a piece I can visibly see. I can visibly see that with my eye. That looks like a chunk of silver. Doesn't it? Really? I can see, let me see, there's a piece I can see with my eye. That's the one we saw before. Chunk of silver right there. I hope we're in camera because this is so awkward for me to try to keep this in range and move this around. What do we got here? Big chunk of something. A bunch of junk. Still looking for that one. Maybe I won't find it because I'm inside. I was looking outdoors earlier, but it was a big chunk, and there looked like wire gold next to it. So I guess if I think we've seen some good examples. So anyway, I kept and I saved the material, the liquids that came out. I ground it super fine. It was a fine slurry. And then I panned it, and then I dried it with an air gun. And then this is the results, okay? That's gold. Tell me I'm wrong. So, oh, look at that. There's some wire. Look at that. There's a chunk of wire right there. There's a long piece that got ripped out. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I really, really, really want to be sure, guys, of what I have. So I'm going all out and trying to make sure I get you good footage here. Okay? So there's that. Now I know I'm going to have to clean the bottom of that because it's a little bit plasticky. Well, I was brushing off my fingers and I was checking to make sure. Oh, you can tell I'm sweating. Look at that. There's a chunk of gold stuck to my finger. I don't know if I'm getting that off. Alright, that yellow one that I first showed you, we're on the back side of that right now. And I'm looking at a little sulfide mix right here. Actually, let me put this back on the tripod or on its own stand. Now again, this is some more that I've had for a couple years. I thought I saw some silvery right there. This is a different piece. This is not the one I was just looking at that I had ground up. This is the first one, the yellow one. The piece I ground up was a green one. So I have two different samples here that are appearing to show gold. Now here's the back side of that piece though. And somewhere in here, that looks like it could be silver. I believe that this one also has some silver, as well as some gold. There's some other white stuff right there. Now here we get into some metal. It doesn't have that super flashy glow, but it also doesn't have facets. I'm moving it, okay? It doesn't have that flashy glow like I got from the other with the ambient light in there, but it also does not seem to have facets like pyrites would. That looks like a chunk of something there, a lump of something. That's just some kind of rusty junk. That's saw blade marks. I don't know why it does black marks. I was sure I know I found here. So here we go. Here we are. Here we are. That looks like gold to me. See how it, when I move the focus up and down, it could be pyrites, but I don't see the facets that you would find. I don't know. It's got a very lumpy structure. I'm moving it. It's hard because it gets in and out of focus when I do that, but I'm moving it. And if it was crystal here, this looks like a crystal. All right, watch that flicker when I move this. See how that has a facet? That absolutely has a facet right here, this one, okay? These have a continuous yellow when I move this around. See that? That one has a facet, that's a crystal. But those pieces I'm pretty sure are gold. There's another little one right in between those two. Yeah, so really want to know your opinion. If there's any pros out there, anybody that has any experience out there. This is from the upper Michigan. I cannot remember because I had it 2 years ago. I don't remember where this one come from. That looks exactly like a chunk of gold. Okay, did I just fall off? Yeah, okay. That looks just like a chunk of gold. Unfortunately, I thought I had nothing back then. For whatever reason, I had examined these for months. On and off, never found anything. I don't know why. Maybe I have a better microscope. No, this is the same one. I don't know why, but that looks like gold right there. And I was cutting these up to polish them, and boom, there it is. Like a whole different world going off on me here. Now I have a bunch of chunks of the same type of material from the same rock. I know there was more in here. It's really hot in here, and it's awkward when I'm on the camera and trying to work around the camera. It's very different. I'm following a sort of a vein here. Yeah, so anyway, I had given up hope that there was anything in this back then. My notes got scrambled. My specimens got all jumbled together, so I can't tell you where this is from, to be absolutely honest. I know it's in the UP. See, there's a crystal, that white crystal. There's some reflective crystals. Ah, here. See, there's something right in there. That looks a little brassy, though, but again, it's really hard with this microscope. All right, here is another chunk of that same rock. I'm freehanding it, so it's very awkward. I do not see facets. I'm turning the rock back and forth. I do not see facets like I would see on pyrite. See how full this is? You can see better how full it is on the unpolished and unrefined. This is just rough cut. You can see I don't see crystal facets on here. That looks to me like a chunk of gold. And this is again unpolished, rough cut with a diamond saw. If it was, that looks like a lump of gold to me. So tell me what you think, guys. I could go on and on and on showing you stuff, but I think we've seen enough. This is absolutely a rough cut of the one that I showed you, the green one that I showed you, and of the same piece of rock is a piece that I ground up to a dust and then put in the gold pan. So let me know, guys. Do I have gold? Do I have fool's gold? Alright, well, love to hear your opinions. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll let you know. Everybody can check the comments, leave your comments. And I'm going to try to do some further tests later on if I can get some more of this isolated. Let's see that. We had that one in there. Alright, talk to y'all later.